in the debate between evolution and intelligent creation, which I believe is also expressed as the difference between atheism and belief in God. I've noticed, and I'm bringing to attention, that there are certain doorway arguments. They're foundational, they're huge, they're doorway arguments. And the reason I call them doorway arguments is because they must be dealt with before you can go on to all of the other many other arguments there are. And there are many to prove God and to disprove evolution and the Big Bang Theory and atheism. There are doorway arguments that cannot be denied or disputed, and yet I see that they are very seldom dealt with. But to me, they're doorway arguments. If you can't address those, because to be honest, they shoot down evolution right away, and the Big Bang Theory right away, and atheism right away, and they prove God right away. Prove an intelligent designer and creator right away. So why bother getting onto all the other many other arguments there are if you can't even get past the doorway? So anyway, one doorway argument I noticed is called entropy. That's the thought that everything is starting with a perfect state, and over the course of time, they degrade to an imperfect state. They travel from order to disorder, from perfection to chaos. Okay, that's entropy. And it's the second law of thermodynamics, which are also all laws of physics. And the thermodynamic laws, all of them deal with traveling in that direction from perfection to imperfection, but they just deal with different aspects of it, such as energy and temperature and everything. But we know entropy is probably the most observable, not only by scientists, but by everyone in the world. You can't help but see it. People die, animals die. They go from perfection when they're born, travel through time, they get sicklier, and eventually die. And it's the same for inanimate objects also, such as metal. It rusts. Take an ice cube out of the freezer and set it on the counter. Guess what? It will go from a perfected frozen state to back down to water over time. Entropy exists everywhere all the time. To me, it's a doorway argument. If you can't deal with that, see, that shoots down the Big Bang Theory completely, because that states that we started with an explosion, which is chaos, and that over time it traveled into the direction of perfection. And everything we see now, based on their theory, everything we see now came over time from chaos, from an explosion. Entropy shoots that right down. And if you can't deal with that, then what's the use of going on to another argument? Okay, but here is another argument. Okay, entropy is probably the main, most foundational doorway argument. But then how about DNA? DNA is a long string of instructions, of very understandable and intellectual instructions that was obviously placed there in an orderly fashion by an intelligence, because that's a string of instructions that tells your body how to make itself. It tells it what color the hair is going to be, the eyes are going to be, what tone the voice is going to have. You know, what color the skin's going to be, how tall it's going to be, etc. It's even believed that it dictates things about personality and so forth. Okay, DNA. You got to deal with that. If you can't deal with that, that had to have come from an intelligence. Just to put it in perspective, as an example, think of it as if you're on the beach. You walk along the beach and you see the sand in curvy sort of ripples. The sand, because you know that the waves form that randomly. By that was formed by waves. However, you go a little bit further down and you see in the sand, you see the words, "I love Lucy." Can you tell the difference between the ripples and that language that was written there? That was obviously written by an intelligence. And that's what our DNA is like. Okay? Now here's another thing. This one disputes evolution. This totally shoots down evolution. Okay, the question is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Okay, if you say the egg came first, then the question I have is, how did it get fertilized? Okay, if you say the chicken came first, then the question I have is, how did fertilization get into the chicken to lay an egg? So basically, the whole reproduction system, not only of humans, but of all animals, is that you need a male and a female. They both have to be there together from the beginning in order to procreate into the next generation. So how did the reproductive system evolve? Because you can't have evolution without procreating to the next generation. Because the theory of evolution is that every generation gets a little bit of an improvement or an alteration or something. The procreation is based on male and female reproduction system. That was from the beginning. From the beginning, the male and the female had to be there. They were created. Okay, now those are the three doorway arguments that I see. There may be more, but those are the three big ones that I see. Why bother going on to the other ones? But like I said, there are many. There are many other arguments that shoots down evolution, shoots down the Big Bang, shoots down atheism, builds up and proves God, and proves the intelligent creation. There's many, many, many arguments, but like I said, those are the three big doorway arguments. If you can't deal with those, then you can't get past them. So why bother going on to these other ones?